Thank you, Kelly McClory. We're gonna have our last reader before a quick intermission. This is a text written by Tessa White. She's not gonna be on stage tonight. But Tessa has an MFA in writing from the University of San Francisco. And her short fiction can be found online at Sunstro and Freight Train. It's called From Butcher. We're going to have a regular of Red Light Leads on stage now to read her text. Please welcome Maya Jeffra.
Hi everybody. So Bronte's, all I could think about since you read was shit dick. And it immediately made me think about, I started assessing that because everyone was laughing with this kind of like, oh, repulsion, but kind of humor. And then I just did kind of an assessment of the room, and I bet you every fucking guy in this place has had shit dick at one point or another.
Yes.
You have. How cute it is that you stay silent. I'm not accusing you of anything. You know what? And then it made me, okay, so I was going to come up here and say, I was thinking, okay, this is bad habits, right? We have to share our bad habits. Not Tessa's bad habits. I'm just reading for her, but I was just gonna share that one of my bad habits was when I was a little kid, I started biting my toenails. Did anyone do that? No one did that. Kind of like you don't have shit dick. When did we get so much shame in San Francisco?
You flexible, bitch.
You got that, and that is the theme of my story, actually. Because when I was a little kid, I would chew my toenails, right? My mom's always like, don't do that, don't do that. But when I was 10, 11, 12, that came in surprisingly handy all of a sudden because the flexibility. And I discovered certain things. Yes. Yes. And then, so that was a new thing that happened in my life, that discovery. Yes. Yes. Bitches, I could suck my own dick. Yes. So you should have been your toenails when you were 4 too. Anyway, the point being, and this is why it relates to you, Bronte, is because it made me recall this story, okay? So, I grew up in Baltimore, then I go to college in Atlanta really quick, and at 18, I was at a frat party, and somehow I was paid $20 because I boasted in my drunken state that I could suck my own dick, and I earned that $20, right? Much later in my life, so this is like, I'm living in Hollywood, California at this point. I'm having a dinner party. I can't believe I'm sharing this with you guys. This is your fault. And so I will read. My story's better. But I was 30 years old. I'm having this dinner party, and somehow it just happened that all of us got naked. I don't know the exact history behind that, but I told them all at this moment, I could suck my own dick when I was 18. And they were like, suck your dick, suck your dick! And lots of wine. So I'm going in for it. And I'm straining, and that's when it happens. I shit out a pellet in the middle of my friends, in the middle of the circle. That's all I have to say. So, I'm just trying to keep contiguity going in the theme of the evening.
That's my girl.
Alright. I haven't shared that with anyone in public. Thank you, Jennifer, for the drinks. Okay, now get serious. The title of this is SIN-THIA. S-I-N-THIA. It It was 4 o'clock in the afternoon when she showed up. She was tall and dark-skinned and called herself SIN-THIA. She cursed and curled her body into knots, crying out Simon's name as though they had been lovers for years. Afterward, as she smoked in his bed, she propped herself up on one bare elbow and stared at his profile. Simon gazed at the ceiling and thought about his late wife. "Who are you thinking about?" "My wife," he says. But it wasn't Marianne's face that he saw, really. It was more of a smell, fresh and lemony, that he remembered. They would lie in bed together. In this bed, his face cradled against her heart. Just above her breast and beneath her soft neck, Marianne would run her nails up and down his back for hours, causing a battalion of tiny goosebumps to rise all along his bare arm. SIN-THIA nodded and pinched her cheek. "Are you depressed?" "No." She dropped her cigarette in the vase with the moldy flowers from the funeral. She folded her arms under her bed, and he watched her dark breasts fall to each side. "Are you black?" he asked. "No," she smiled. "My family is from South India." SIN-THIA. She had purred into his intercom. First timer, the agency lady had told him. He hadn't argued with her. He didn't care about the experience. Lust had blinked like a strobe through his mind ever since he walked out of that cold hospital. The curve of a woman's body. Big tits, round ass, a quiet mouth. Hairless, from the high thigh to the hinging point between her front and backside. "She's not a virgin," the lady had said, "but she'll make you think she was." She walked in his door as SIN-THIA, a woman who tore into him and spit him out, his insides pulsing with heat. For many weeks she came, turned him inside out, and left. One afternoon during a heavy downpour, they spent an hour pressed together in a vice grip of lust. Simon's bedroom was hot, the windows steaming as though he had drawn a hot bath. When they were finished, he left her in bed and walked throughout the few rooms of his apartment. He flicked on the lamps that Marianne had tucked into the corners of each room. Lighting, she had once instructed, was an underrated factor of ambience. When every room had a light lit, he came back to the woman in the bedroom. He crawled in bed, and their shoulders, hips, and the tips of their ankles were all soft touch points between them. He wondered what she was thinking about while he was lighting up the apartment. Maybe she was tallying the balance sheet he had recklessly accrued over the weeks. Simon felt her face turn ever so slightly to view the bedroom, taking in the objects he had left untouched since the service. The armchair upholstered with Victorian rose print, the pastoral scenes of farmland in large wood frames, the enormous wood spires of the four-poster bed, the heavy down comforter. Marianne had kept house impeccably. She had cooked well, without cookbooks and from instinct. She ironed Simon's clothes, even his socks and boxer shorts. She reminded him to go to the gym. Marianne had a curious habit of spreading the toothpaste onto Simon's toothbrush each night before bedtime. He would walk into the bathroom just before bed, and inevitably there was his toothbrush on the edge of the sink, a fresh cup of water perched next to the soap dish. "Did you always love your wife?" She picked at the flowered sheet, rubbing the cotton between her long fingers. "A little in the beginning, more toward the end," Simon said. "I see." The two lay there while the rain on the window changed rhythms to a soft tapping, then to nothing at all. "That's how it happens in India too," she said, her accent suddenly thick. "You learn to love in these marriages the families arrange. Then there is no loss of love. This way, there is nothing to regret later." He said nothing. "Do you think you could ever learn to love me?" Simon turned to her, this exotic bird with endless energy and sexual stamina, unaware of needing anything in return. He thought, she's just a girl. "No," he said. She made a noise like a horse, an impatient snort, and he was brought back to the farm. He imagined her standing in the frame of the barn door, in denim overalls surrounded by cow dung. Her hair in thick braids, pieces coming loose so that she looked spent, perhaps sweating. Nothing on beneath the overalls, just her dark breast pushing out the overall clasps at an odd angle. He laughed out loud. The picture was so odd. She would never have made it on his farm, and yet he couldn't imagine who she was before her time with him. "SIN-THIA," he began. "That's not my name," she said, twisting the sheet at her belly. "It's SIA." A soft name like a breath, he thought. "Tell me about how you got into this dirty business." Thanks.